Hey everybody, it's Mr. C of Mr. C's Homeschool Music Academy. Welcome to another music lesson with the high schoolers, 9th grade through 12th grade. This is your music lesson today. So please have your materials today. Have your pencils, your manuscript books, which is the blank pages of music paper, especially I re-explaining that in case you are new to this, but have that ready. Notebook, a regular notebook. If you're new and you don't have manuscript paper, the music sheet paper, then definitely have a notebook or some blank pieces of paper where you can draw music lines. Okay, just so you know, if you're drawing the music line, which is referred to as a staff. Okay, it's 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines and 4 spaces within. Okay, so just draw 5 lines like that with this fancy looking thing called the treble clef. Okay, and we're going to get right down to our core lesson for today. Is all about building your own melody. I'm going to show you how to do that today. And also we are going to get into some of the specifics. Okay, we have a hymnal at the beginning. The name of the hymn today is Trust and Obey by John H. Sammis. It was written by John H. Sammis long ago. And anybody again who is new to this, we are always doing this before we start the core lesson. But even before that, everybody, we're going to start with our Music Academy jingle, Mr. C's Homeschool Music Academy jingle. So if you know it, sing along. Here we go. Time for school, time for music, time to learn together, we can do it. Learning is fun with Mr. C, and learning is fun, everybody. So welcome once again, high schoolers. Okay, we are going to do our personal shout out also. Today's personal shout out is dedicated to, drum roll please, and that is Mr. Lawrence Peralta. Lawrence Peralta, this shout out is for you. Hope you enjoy it. Here we go. Let's say hi to Lawrence Peralta. Let's do some music with Lawrence Peralta. Let's get together with Lawrence Peralta. Let's go have some fun. And that was for Mr. Lawrence Peralta. Everybody give him a round of applause. Yeah, a round of applause. Okay, so Mr. Lawrence Peralta, that little shout out was for you. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. And for anybody who would like to have a personal shout out at the beginning of a music lesson, as always, and those people who are new to this might be watching right now, all you have to do is drop your name in the comment section. Just type in your name. Just type in your first and last name. Let me know if you would like a shout out at the beginning of a class, and I will personally deliver that shout out to you in the form of this jingle. Okay, so there you go. That was again for Mr. Lawrence Peralta. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. And now let's get into what we're going to do. We're going to do some stretches first for our vocals to get ready to do our hymnal. Now let me also explain about our hymnals. I choose to do that because that is our way of just getting our minds ready and our minds straight to remember God and everything that we're doing, because it's because of him we're able to do anything, learn music, create music, okay, do all the things, express all the gifts that we are able to do. It is given by him. And so I choose to recognize him in everything before I do it. And it's a good way, again, to get our minds right, guys. So Trust and Obey. That is the name of the hymnal that we're going to do. So if you don't know the song, when we're doing our sing-along, just go right into Google search engine and type in Trust and Obey lyrics, and those lyrics should pop up right away, everybody. Okay, so I'm going to put my ukulele down, and I'm going to enlist the help of my good old piano here, my piano keyboard, and have those lyrics handy while we're getting ready. But I would like everybody also to sit up straight right now, because again, as I said, we're going to limber up a little bit. We're going to get into some stretches, all our stretching our shoulders and our neck muscles, okay, for our vocal cords. These are the type of stretches that definitely help us to sing better, to have healthy vocal cords. Okay, so let's get right into it. So sit up straight. Posture, by the way, is everything, as I always express. Okay, posture and shoulders relaxed, sitting up nice and straight. Everybody raise your arms up into the sky as high as you can. Raise them as high as you can, everybody. Feel that stretch in the lower back and let it drop. And everybody rotate the shoulders backwards. Everybody roll those shoulders back. And you should feel a nice massage in those shoulders. Great. Everybody roll them forward now. Roll them forward. Excellent, everybody. Okay, now everybody rotate the necks in a circle very slowly. Of course, you do not want to hurt yourself going too fast or making too many sudden movements. Just rotate those necks very easily, nice and slow. Nice job, everyone. Everybody rotate in the other direction. All right, guys. Very good. Everybody look all the way up. Look all the way down. Look all the way to your right. And all the way to your left. And everybody shrug and hold your shoulders like this. Okay, kind of like you're saying, oh, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Okay, and everybody drop them. Everybody shrug and hold your shoulders once again. And drop them. And everybody put your arms out in front of you like this and start opening and closing your hands, getting the mobility of your fingers. Okay, and just warming up with a grip, this grip exercise. Okay. Okay, great. Now everybody squeeze and hold, and shake it out. Shake it out. Very nice. Excellent, guys. Now, let's everybody take a nice deep breath in through our nose. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Once again, deep breath in. And deep breath out. Excellent, guys. Okay, here we go. Now that we've warmed up a little bit, we are going to go into Trust and Obey, once again by John H. Sammis. Such a great message there, to trust and obey our Heavenly Father. He, the one who's responsible for our very lives, for the very things that we're able to do, okay? We're able to continue in. So trust and obey, of course, because he made us and he knows what's good for us, guys. So take a look at those lyrics in the song and think about him while we're doing this, guys. So have them handy. Sing along to it as best as you can. If you know the song, great, even better, okay? But let's do our best, everybody, and that's all we can do. Do our best, right? God makes us able to handle lots of things, guys. So we trust and obey him. Here we go, by John H. Sammis. Let's sing it together, guys. When we walk with the Lord, what a glory. Excuse me, let me start that. Woo! I totally skipped a whole line, everybody. Everybody just kind of do a little wah, 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 wah. I think I deserve it right there. Woo! Oh my goodness. Okay. Hey, it just goes to show you that nothing is perfect, right, folks? Nothing is perfect, and we are all made imperfectly. We are imperfect, but God's plan is perfect. You see what I'm saying? And God's plan for us to be here is perfect. So let's get right back into it. I'm going to just start that over again. And guess what? We can do that. This is my class. This is our class. We can start things over again. This is not a performance. This is a class, okay? So let's give it a shot. Let's try that again, okay? Here we go. And it goes to show you that the experts, okay? I mean, I try my best. I try my best to be an expert, okay? But it goes to show you people with a lot of experience can make plenty of mistakes. But that's a good thing. That's a great thing because we can learn from our mistakes. That's the difference. There's no mistake that we can't learn from or don't have a solution to fixing. That's the idea. So, this is a laid back, at least I try to make it a laid back class. So let's get laid back. Let's get right back into it again. Trust and obey. And this time I won't skip any lines. Here we go. When we walk with the Lord in the light of his word, what a glory he sheds on our way. While we do his good will, he abides with us still, and with all who will trust and obey. Trust Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus, but to trust and obey. Not a burden we bear, not a sorrow we share, but our toil he doth richly repay. Not a grief or a loss, not a frown or a cross, but is blessed if we trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus, but to trust and obey. But we never can prove the delights of his love until all on the altar we lay. For the favor he shows and the joy he bestows are for them who will trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus, but to trust and obey. Then in fellowship sweet we will sit at his feet, or we'll walk by his side in the way. What he says we will do, where he sends we will go. Never fear, only trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus, but to trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus, but to trust and obey. And that was Trust and Obey by John H. Sammis. Everybody give yourselves a nice little round of applause if you were able to follow along with that. If not, if you were having a little bit of trouble, with the timing or whatever the case may be, skipping lines like I did, if you did that, okay, just go back into the video again, press play, have your lyrics handy, and practice practice repetitively. Don't practice the part I messed up, but practice where I did it well, okay? The second time I tried it, where I did it well, practice that, okay? All right, guys, so let's get into the core of our lesson now, shall we? I have the whiteboard behind me with the staff. Get your pencils out, your manuscript papers out, notebooks, whatever. Have that ready right now, and we're going to begin learning to build a melody. Now, let me explain something. So far, okay, especially for those people who are new to this, who have been watching, or just started watching today, we did a couple of lessons on learning how to read notes in the treble clef, which you see over here. Okay, that's the treble clef. And we've also learned how to read it in the bass clef, which actually looks like a hook with 2 dots. Okay, I don't have that up there right now because we're gonna focus on treble clef mainly, building a melody from there on the treble clef, which means the higher range of notes. Okay, hence the word treble. Okay, treble. You know, if you're into stereo, you know, audio stuff or anything like that, treble itself meaning high sounds as opposed to bass clef meaning the lower range of notes. Okay, so we're going to focus on the higher range of notes, building a melody from that. Now, what I'm choosing to do here is to put some random notes. Okay, just some random notation. Okay, not really trying to figure it out, although technically speaking, having a piano, okay, most specifically a piano, even a guitar would be good if you were a guitarist, but definitely a piano for tuning purposes would be the most ideal instrument to have on hand to build a melody. Okay, however, I'm going to take a different approach because some composers, okay, which is just a fancy term for songwriter, okay, but some composers have been able to just randomly put notes on the staff, just randomly do that, okay? And what happens is they would kind of see if the melody fits, having their understanding over meter and tempo and rhythm, okay, which we've done actually already. There are some previous lessons regarding rhythm and tempo, okay, note values and such. So anybody who's watching this for the first time, check out those previous videos on the library of videos. Like I have over 100 videos altogether, okay, but check out the category where it's categorized as high school videos, those music lessons, and find the ones that deal with, first of all, reading the treble and bass clef, and review those, and also review the ones on rhythm, okay, and note values and such, okay? So review that so that this lesson can make more sense. Let's put it that way, okay? But in any event, we're going to attempt, while we're here, to just put some notes in, in random notes, just some random notes on the staff, okay? We're going to do that utilizing our understanding of rhythm and meter again, and the idea is to not get a perfect melody, not to build a perfect melody out of this right away. That's not the point, because nobody does that unless you're Mozart, who is literally a musical genius. He had perfect pitch and can hear notes in his head, okay? But for people like us who don't have perfect pitch, that we require an instrument, okay? The point of doing just some random notes on there is to see kind of where it takes us, okay? And if there are some notes that don't really make sense, let's put it that way, if they don't really make sense, it doesn't make sort of a good melody and it's not that great, then here's the thing. Once you put those random notes out, okay, you try it on the piano to see how it sounds, even sing along with those different notes. Find them on the piano, kind of plunk through them and sing along with them. And if it sounds good, hey, great. If certain, and most likely there will be some certain notes that don't sound very good, maybe it doesn't belong with that melody. And so you just make a change at that point, okay? But this is a good way to just, when you're faced with a blank page and you're trying to compose your own melody, right? You're faced with a blank page there. You're just like writer's block, okay? You have writer's block at that moment, okay? Then you know what they say about writer's block. Start writing some random stuff, some random words, okay? Like when you're doing an essay or whatever the case may be, you'll start with, writing your name, just maybe typing your name and typing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or, some random stuff. And then all of a sudden, what's going to happen is some ideas will start coming to you as far as your essay, your paper, whatever it is, your book, okay? Something will start to flourish. Some idea will start to flourish, and then and that's what that's what the draft copy is all about. So we're learning to do a draft copy of just a melody, just putting something on there, no matter what it is, okay, for the most part. But still, again, having that concept and understanding of rhythm, meter, okay, those rules. So let's get right to it, everybody. I'm going to grab my marker. I'm going to stand up. Excuse me. I'm going to stand up, okay, so that everybody can see the whiteboard better. and have those pencils ready. Okay, copy exactly what I am doing here, guys. Just going to make an adjustment on the camera. All right, let's see. You can see everything. Maybe not that. Okay. All right. So here we go. And I got to move something out the way. Haha. Okay. So here we go, everybody. Now, we're using our treble clef, okay? I already drew, I drew the bar lines, okay, separated with bar lines to make measures, okay? Once again, that's from our previous lessons. The bar lines create measures, which are boxes of notes, okay? Boxes in which the notes are going to be used, okay? We're using treble clef, so let's think automatically. Let's think lines, okay? The lines, the formula for the lines, any line notes, okay? The formula for the lines, we know to be, okay, every good boy does fine. Okay, so every good boy does fine, and I'm circling the first letters of each word, E, G, B, D, and F, okay? So any line note, any note where the note head is on a line and the line is crossing through that note head, okay, as we talked about before, is a line note, okay? Now, if we're thinking about our spaces, that's the notes, that's the note heads of the notes that end up between the two lines in the space, okay? Our space formula for treble clef itself. Let me write treble clef in case we have some beginners here. Treble clef, okay, which is this. Okay, that's our treble clef, higher range of notes. Okay, then our formula for that is the simple word F, A, C, and E, which spells out face. So for the lines formula, we start with the bottom line and we recite. For the bottom line, we say every good boy does fine, and that's E, G, B, D, and F, since every line has a letter name. And for our spaces, we simply spell out and remember our face. And we spell out face starting from the bottom space here, and we go F, A, C, E. Okay? All right. So from there, we're going to just, again, build a melody by using random notes, okay? Typically speaking, again, if you were trying to get a specific melody down, you would be at the piano kind of listening to a note, then adding it to the staff, okay, and kind of going back and forth. But this is now, again, if you have writer's block and you just want to get something out there right away, okay, then do it at random. Just put some of the stuff. Knowing what we know about our formulas to reading the lines and spaces, okay, we can kind of do that and then just kind of fix it later. You see what I'm saying? And just expect that after this lesson, we're not looking to fix any notes, by the way. What I am going to do is once we're done, you're going to hear the melody that we just created, okay? So I'm also going to put in the meter. So for our purposes today, we're going to write a 2/4 meter, okay? A 2/4 meter simply states that there are 2 beats in every measure, so we're always counting 1, 2, 1, 2. Within each measure, there has to be 2 beats per measure. And the bottom number tells us, bottom number 4 tells us that every quarter note, that's these, okay, let me write it on the bottom here, every quarter note is equal to 1 full beat, okay? Does everybody see that? Please write that down in case you need kind of like a reference, okay? Okay, but again, 2 beats per measure. The number 2 on the top of the meter is there's 2 beats per measure, and the quarter note will receive 1 beat, okay? Now, we're going to go start with the first measure. We have to have 2 beats in every measure. Our quarter notes are equal to 1 beat right there. I'm going to do a half note, okay? Let's say I'm going to do a half note. If you recall what a half note is, a half note, because of our meter, a quarter note equals 1 beat. A half note is going to equal 2 full beats, okay? So I'm just going to put our half note right over here. Why not? I'm not thinking about anything about whether it should go there, whether it's going to make sense or not. I'm not thinking about that at all. I'm just putting a half note, knowing that it's equal to 2 counts, okay? It's equal to 2 beats. So when you hold out this note, it's going to go 1, hold 2. We're going to hold it out. It's one note that holds for 2 specific counts, okay? 2 whole counts, 2 whole beats, okay? And it happens to be right there. Let's test our understanding of our formulas now. It happens to be right on this line, okay? So it's all about location once again, right? Location. And when we see it right there on that line, the note head, again, this is the note head and this is the stem. The note head has the line crossing through it right there. So what do we use? We're in treble clef. We utilize our lines formula to read the note. We say the formula, every good boy does fine. We started from the bottom line and we recite that same formula up until we get to the note head, okay? Again, it's about location. Where is the note head? Not the stem, but the note head, okay? Remember that the half note, again, has an empty note head, okay? Not shaded with a stem. So we start from the bottom line and we go, every good boy does, okay? We don't have to proceed to the next line at the fine line because it's does. We're at the does line right there. And we're going to label that as our uppercase D, okay? So that is our D, okay? Does for D, okay? That is our high D note, okay? Now, I'm going to go to the next measure. Here we go. I'm going to choose some random whatever. This time I'm going to put 2 quarter notes. If you recall our meter, 2 beats per measure, and the quarter note is equal to 1 beat. So I'm going to add in 2 quarter notes here in some random places, okay, to complete the measure. So here we go. I'm going to put a quarter note here. For the quarter note, we have to shade the note head, okay, just like I have here. I shaded the note head, and we add the stem, okay, and then from there I'm going to why not right here. I'm going to add another quarter note right here, shade the note head on that line, notice, and add the stem. Notice that the first note is in the space, okay, in between the 2 lines. So it's in between the 2 lines, so that makes it a space note. So we're going to use our space formulas to label that note. So it's F-A-C-E, right? We start with the bottom and recite the spelling of that word face. We go F. Oh, we could continue and go F-A-C-E, but that would be tedious, right? F is right here at that bottom space. So we start to spell face, we go F, and it's already there. So all we have to do is label that as our F note, okay? Now, the next note over here in the second note, second quarter note there, that happens to be on the line because the line is crossing through that note head, okay, as you can see. So with that in mind, we start to recite our lines formula again. Every good boy does fine. We start at the bottom line right here, and we go every good boy. So B is for boy. We label that as B. Remember again to use uppercase letters to label any notes that you're doing, okay? So this is composing, guys. This is another way that composers compose, okay? There's another way that songwriters write a song. They'll just put some random notes there, knowing how to read the letter names and knowing what they know about meter and rhythm, and just put some random notes. It doesn't matter at this point whether it sounds good, whether it's whether it's good to have. We just do it, okay? That's the idea. So now I'm going to go to the next measure, and I'm going to put, let's see, I'm going to have 1/8 notes now. 1/8 note, I'll put 2 1/8 notes and a quarter. If you recall an 1/8 note in a 2-beat meter with the quarter note receiving 1 beat, the 1/8 notes are worth half a beat each, okay? And how do we draw 1/8 notes? Okay, so I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go back up to this 4th line here, okay? And put 2 note heads, shade them in. Okay? And then I'm going to add the stems that are befitting of an 1/8 note. Okay, of 1/8 notes. Watch this. And boom, okay? Remember that an 1/8 note by itself, I'm going to draw an 1/8 note here at the bottom. An 1/8 note itself has this. It has a stem, shaded note, with a flag at the end of that. I'm not entirely proud of that flag I drew. Okay, but let me draw it a little better. Okay, there we go. I'm a little happier with that one. Okay, but there is our little flag. that distinguishes the difference between an eighth note and a quarter note with just a regular stem. This is a stem with a flag. So the eighth note itself, when it has that flag, okay, it tells us that that's how we identify an actual eighth note, okay? But these are two eighth notes, as I said before. So it's like they took, with the two eighth notes, in the two individual eighth notes, they took the flags and we tied them together by adding this one single bar, let me do it better, one single line over here, okay, to connect both the two eighth notes together, okay? So that is the two eighth notes, and then I'm going to put the next note over here in the space. Why not, right? And this is going to be a quarter note because I'm going to shade in the note head. Okay, there we go. So I shaded in the note head, that makes it a quarter note. Now, you might look at this and be like, well, hold on, there's 3 notes in a 2-beat meter, okay? Well, it's still 2 beats. What did I say before again? That the eighth note is equal to half of a beat, right? So if that's true, we have half plus a half makes 1. So 2 of these eighth notes actually equal 1 full beat, okay? In which you would clap it as 1 and, okay? That's how that rhythm should feel, 1 and, okay? And then this is the quarter note, which equals 1 full beat, and that makes the second beat, okay? So you would clap all this together, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, right? So that means that it's actually correct. It's still going by the rule of the meter, which is 2 beats per measure, 1 and 2, okay? But we gotta also label these notes. Remember that it's on the same line now, okay? Without kind of using our formulas, we can do this, and there's no rule. It's not considered cheating. Think about this, okay? So we're on the 4th line where those 2 note heads of the eighth notes have the 4th line crossing it, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But we look back at our first measure where we had the half note on that same line, okay? We had that half note on the same line. So if that's the case, that means both of these eighth notes are also is our high D note, okay? So let's write 2 Ds for those 2 eighth notes, okay? Making sure again uppercase so that it's legible, right? And we have our quarter note in the what? Space. Oh, let's do our spaces formula. What's that space formula again? Face, right? So we start with the bottom space and we spell out the word face. F-A. Oh, no need to go further because that quarter note, the note head right there, is placed on the second space, which is our A. Okay? So we have D, D, A, all right? So basically the rhythm so far of this whole, of the first 3 measures, we have a D, D whole 2, and then we have 2 quarter notes, 1 beat each, F, B, okay? And then we have 2 eighth notes and a quarter note, half a beat each. We go D, D, A. And that's it, okay? 1 and 2, okay? So now we're on our last measure, folks. And we're going to do something different now. Watch this. Okay, I'm going to introduce you to, I may not have done this already, but I'm going to introduce you to a particular note that is called a what? I'm going to shade this note head in. I'm going to put this stem, and I'm going to put this little dot next to it, okay? That is known as a dotted quarter note, a dotted quarter note. Now what, you might be asking yourself, what is the note value to a dotted quarter note? Here it goes, look at the bottom. A dotted quarter note is equal to 1.5 beats, okay? Not 2, but 1.5. So it's like you're saying you got 1 and, that's a full beat. When you say 1 and, you clap it at 1 and then the 2, but you stop it there. In other words, you don't say the word and after 2 for that dotted quarter note. Why? Because really the 1 is the first half. The and is the second half of the beat. Okay? Then the 2, the number 2, you would have an and after that to make it a full second beat. But this is 1.5 beats. So you're only counting the first beat along with and holding it along with the first half of the second beat. Let's put it that way, the first half of the second beat. So it's one, so it's like 1 and 2. Okay, that's the idea. Now I'm going to put a second note, and this time it's going to be an eighth note all by itself, an eighth note, because rhythmically that's what's going to make sense. And the eighth note all by itself is going to be on this line right here. So I'm going to draw the note head right here, and I'm going to shade it in. Okay, and put the stem, but add a flag to it. Okay, a flag. When the stem is upside pointed down this way, then the flag goes like this. It looks different from when it's up. Okay, but that is an eighth note, which is only worth half a beat. Now let's think about our rhythm, right? Note values. I just got through saying that this is a dotted quarter note, I should say, a dotted quarter note, which is 1.5 beats, right? That's 1.5. So a dotted quarter note being 1.5 beats plus an eighth note, which is half a beat. How much does that make? If we do our arithmetic, 1.5 plus a half makes it 2 beats. So that still completes the actual rule of the meter. It sticks to the rule of the meter where there's 2 beats within this measure. 1 and 2 and. Let's put it that way. If we were clapping this, it would sound like this. 1 and 2 and. Okay? 1 whole 2 and. Okay? That makes it still 2 full beats. And what are the letter names to those 2 notes? We have this first one is in the what? Line or space? Must be a space because it's in between the 2 lines. Therefore, we use our space formula again. The word face is what we spell. Starting with the bottom space, we go F, A, C, and E. We had to actually spell the entire word, okay, until we got to our note head in the top space. That makes it an uppercase E. So write an uppercase E underneath that, okay? And then the last note, which is our eighth note, which is only half a beat, worth half a beat, happens to be on that 1, 2, 3rd line. See, the line is crossing through that note head, which means to us, we got to use our lines formula to read that note. We say every good boy does fine. Start with the bottom line here and recite the formula. Every good boy, once again, and we actually did that already in the second measure. The second measure, we had that same quarter note there. That makes it a B. Okay? Every good boy, and it stops right at the boy line, which makes it again a B note. Okay? So there you have it. We just wrote out our own little melody. 4 measures of some random melody with some random notes placed on there. And I put, by the way, just so you know, for FYI, I put double bar line at the end of that last measure so you know that we're at the end. Okay, so if you're looking to end this song, okay, make sure you always write a double bar line at the end, at the very end, so other musicians who play your music will, and for your own understanding, you are at the end of your song. Okay, there you go. 2/4 meter in the key of C. By the way, I didn't mention that before. We are in the key of C. Okay, which means every note in the key of C is a natural note. So that means on the piano, I'm only going to be playing a bunch of white keys. Just that, because none of them have sharps or flats, which was explained in the previous video, by the way. Okay, for those who have watched or have been diligently watching me, okay, there's no sharps or flats. None of them have had any different kinds of notes. They are all natural notes, so we're going to go by the regular letter names here. Okay, so you want to hear it? It's time to hear it, okay? We've composed our little melody. Let's hear how it sounds, okay? And I'm going to bring my bench back and have a seat, everybody, okay? All right. So here we go. So I'm going to kind of position myself. I know you can't see past my head, okay? So we start with, actually, I'm going to come over here. I think you might be able to see it. Yeah, we'll start with our first measure, which is our D note. There's our D note. Our high D happens to be right here, okay? You can't see. Actually, let me see if I can. There we go. That's our high D note, Okay, remember it's 2 beats per measure, and the quarter note gets 1 beat. So according to our meter. So again, we're counting at 1, 2, 1, 2. So if I were to play that first note, that is our high D. So I count myself in just to give myself a tempo count, right? I go 1, 2, ready. Here I go. Here's high D, D, hold 2, off. Okay, that's the first measure. Again, that first note is D, hold 2, off. The second measure, I'm going to lean back this time. The second measure has F and then B below the D. We're in the lower rate. We're in slightly lower on the staff there. So F, B, 1 beat each. F, B. That's the rhythm right there. 1 full beat each. So you're going to hear this. Here's F, B. Okay, look at that. So F, B. That's how I would play that. So if I were to play from the beginning, from the D to the F, B, watch this. You're going to hear this. D, hold 2, then F, B. Okay. Now, third measure, we go back to our high D, 2 eighth notes, okay, half a beat each. So we have D, D. So when we play those 2 eighth note Ds, you have D, D, okay? And then our quarter note in the same measure, because that's only the first beat of the measure, we still have to play the second beat of that measure, and that is our A, right? So below the high D. So you have A as 1 beat. So altogether that measure would sound like D, D, A. Let me do that again. D, D, A, and off, okay? Now, last measure. We have our high E, okay, as a dotted quarter note, 1.5 beats, E and 2. Look at that. So it's E and 2. That's really, and